The mind is not afraid to interrupt us. Don't be afraid to interrupt it. Suppose we are having a conversation with someone. Normally, if one person is speaking, it is not polite to interrupt them. But if in this particular conversation, that person keeps interrupting us, and we are not able to get adequate time to speak, then we may also need to interrupt them. If they start dominating the discussions and don't let us speak, then we may also need to interrupt them. For it to be a conversation and not a monologue, there has to be proper rules of engagement. And if they don't follow the normal rules of engagement of not interrupting, then we too can't follow if we want to be heard. So inside us, a constant talk is going on. And say we decide to do something. We plan to go to a particular place. And we are thinking about how to go about doing that. And suddenly our mind starts talking and distracting us from what we were planning to do. When that happens, the mind will go off on a tangent, and it will go with such force that sometimes we will become surprised, even paralyzed. So when the mind interrupts our train of thoughts, we also need to be ready to interrupt its train of thoughts. At least, usually, if we have planned properly, our train of thoughts is going to some particular direction. You're thinking about, say, a particular issue or a particular task to be done. The mind's train often goes off in a circle, wandering aimlessly. Krishna talks about this nature of the mind and prepares us for dealing with it when he says, Yato yato nischalati manaschancchalam asthiram tastato niyam yaitad atmanyeva vasham nayet. That wherever and whenever the mind wanders, bring it back under the control of the self. Now the control of the self means that sometimes when the mind goes off to a particular direction, it might also have something important to say, and we can pay attention to it, and maybe even change some direction because of it. But it is we who are in control, and we are doing it. Say if we are speaking and somebody interrupts us, and if they speak something pertinent and important, then we may pause and let them speak. But we can't just uncritically hand the conversation over to them. So, just as the mind is not afraid to interrupt us, even when we are doing something important, it doesn't hesitate to distract us with its own ideas. So similarly, we too should not be afraid to interrupt the mind. In fact, inner mastery comes to the extent to which we can interrupt the mind and not let its impulses impel us to actions. Of course, the best way to deal with the inner conversation is to actually have something so interesting to speak that the mind also gets interested, and then the mind gives ideas about the subject that we want to speak rather than about something else. So when we cultivate a strong positive purpose, say for serving Krishna, especially in an area that interests us, then as we start planning and working on it, the mind may also get interested in it, and the mind may give us some additional suggestions. And thus when the mind starts enhancing the conversation rather than depleting the conversation by its inputs, that is when the mind becomes our friend. Thank you.